gentlemen, welcome to the Above That Podcast, the only AA meeting worth attending. I'm your host, Lake, and with me, as always, is Tanim.
What's up? How's it going?
Not too bad, not too bad. Been crazy month. We've got a lot to talk about today, so I guess we'll get right into it. Obligatory Valentine's Day episode. We're going watch out for our top 5 videos of Valentine's Day activities, followed by top 5 Toronto public bathrooms. Completely related subjects. Tanim, what are I know we've talked about Valentine's Day before and your thoughts on it, but have your thoughts changed as the year's gone on?
No, same as they were in high school. If you have a relationship, I guess it's mandatory. For me, it seems one-sided. Definitely something corporate related, but I mean, like, it's my thought. I've had some good Valentines, some not so much. I guess it depends on expectations on the person you're with too. Also, so I mean,
Well, I mean, me being the sadist that I am, I'm only interested in the bad Valentine's days. But in my opinion, every Valentine's Day is a bad Valentine's Day because February sucks.
yeah, it's true though. Valentine's Day is pretty bad.
See, February being Black History Month is just like some fucking racist bullshit because it's the shortest month and it sucks. Like, if we lived in Australia and February was Black History Month, like, no, that's a little different. You get like a sunny month, but I don't know. That's. I'm kidding, of course. Obviously, it's MLK's birthday, and I think
Yeah.
Abraham Lincoln's birthday, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I think that's why LBJ chose it. But yeah, Valentine's. I mean, yeah, obviously, all holidays that aren't statutory holidays are just invented by marketing. Because, like, who else decides that this is going to be a holiday?
Does Hallmark, the cards company, still exist?
I think so. I had to do card shopping, but like, I don't know if they were like Hallmark
I
cards.
mean, I know they have their own channel, but I don't remember them. I don't remember seeing them.
Oh yeah, someone once told me I was like, good looking enough to star in a Hallmark movie channel, which was like so almost a compliment.
Backhanded compliment.
Yeah, it was like, oh, you're not like movie star attractive, but you're like passable for like C-list movies. I guess that's pretty good.
I mean, they do recycle a lot of their same actors for those Hallmark movies.
Yeah, how do you even tell them apart? My girlfriend loves watching Hallmark Christmas movies. Like, that's like a whole thing, and they're never good. Like no one actually enjoys a Hallmark
That's the
Christmas.
only thing on too. Like on Valentine's and Christmas, there's just like cheesy rom-coms in that fashion.
Well, see, that's why Love Actually is the perfect movie. It's both a Valentine's movie and a Christmas movie. It could work as both. It's the only movie you ever need. The only one.
Did you ever have like any special things in high school when you were there, like for Valentine's? Like for us, we had little like treats and shit that you can get like your girlfriends or whatever.
I think you're overestimating how cool I was in high school.
No, but I mean your school.
Oh, I don't know. I can't remember. It was
It was a school thing for us.
yeah, no, I really can't remember. High school is just like one big repressed memory. Like, I'm sure, like, and it's. I also just don't want to think about how long ago that is now. Like,
Yeah.
it being like over 10 years ago now.
I mean, you're not that old.
I know, but still, like, it now being a decade out of high school is like, now it feels like a long ass time. You always look at pictures of your parents and just think like, oh man, how could people dress like that in the 80s? And then, we wore fucking frosted tips and, neon colored leggings and, I don't know, flame decals on everything. It was just a mess. We all dressed like Guy Fieri in the 2000s.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, Valentine's little gifts, and then some of the girls would like get jealous because they didn't have boyfriends who would give them gifts, so they would buy gifts for their friends and then like be a part of it. So that was kind of sad.
See, the fucking corporate exploitation machine.
Guilt them.
Like, oh man, we ran out of coupled people to, shake down for money. Now we got to like start like tapping into the economy of single people to keep Valentine's Day going.
So you'd see all these
Yeah.
girls with like gifts, and I'm like, and they're all single because they got each other gifts because they felt bad.
Nice. I mean, like, not that I'm one to talk, but like being single's not that bad. I mean, the consolation prize of being single is that you don't have to do anything on Valentine's Day. You can just like stay at home and play Xbox all day. I don't know. I don't know what single people do on Valentine's Day. See, I was smart. My anniversary is Valentine's Day. I combined them into one. So now I don't have to buy separate gifts. I'm a genius. I cheated the system.
Were hickeys big in high school for you or like university?
Gross. I don't know. I mean, no, not in high school. See, this is like again, I was not cool in high school, so maybe they were, and I just didn't know, being the nerd that I was. But
Yeah,
yeah, no, high school. Again, high school is just like bad
yeah,
mess.
they were big, not big, but I mean, like that was one of the ways that girls like showed off that they were in a relationship. And
Oh, you just like bruise each other.
right, but I mean, the guys wouldn't show it off; it was just the girls. And I remember I was in. I guess I should have been nicer once, but this was like university, and this girl like asked me for hickey that I was with, and then like we went to the mall once, and she like blatantly just during like Toronto winters like took off her jacket and like showed off her hickey. I'm like, adults don't show off hickeys, right? And like she totally got embarrassed.
See, that was always my thing. It was like that was just like the thing you didn't want
Right.
people to see, when you were out in public, like especially when you were like going to visit people's parents or whatever. I don't know. It's just like
Yeah.
too visible of a symbol that you were just getting it on. Like it's a weird one.
It was just funny that like the guys wouldn't care even if they had it, like they wouldn't brag about it, but all the women would and like just show it off to like all their friends and cool.
Well, it's funny because like guys would make fun of each other if
Yeah.
they had them. It was like, ha ha, look at that. Like it's basically just being like, ha ha, you're getting laid, ha 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 ha. Ha. Like it's just like high school's really dumb. Like, but all of the bullshit we made fun of each other. That we made fun of each other for in high school is dumb. Like it's like, haha, you have different clothes. You don't have this piece of clothing that's going to be embarrassingly dumb in like 5 years.
It's crazy to think that a lot of the things that you face in high school you would think was the end of the world and then like realize after like university like what the fuck was I so worried about?
No, I know. So like high school kids, you just need to realize none of your problems actually matter.
Yep.
Like at all. And no one has any respect for them, and you will also understand this. So I guess that's everything. Everything's like 10 years from now, like if you're like, all your problems at work or with relationships.
Yeah, you have nothing to compare it to in high school.
I mean, high school especially, obviously.
Yeah.
Because like, high school, I feel like high school bullshit is because no one has any money and like no one has accomplished anything. So like no one can like, so you have to like show off stupid bullshit that you didn't even buy yourself, or you did, but like with your parents' money. So like it all feels like very small and stupid,
It's like, yeah, my parents make more than you.
which I mean, that is pretty sweet, but
You're showing it off based on what you're getting bought.
yeah, no, fair enough. Yeah, no, exactly. Like you didn't, you are not at all responsible for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like how De Beers invented like diamond engagement.
Gotta save that 3 months paycheck.
It's not like it's a company invented holiday, which
Yeah.
you can't treat it like that because everyone does it, so there's like the social pressure to do it, and you can't be like the one dick who doesn't. Should have.
I mean, but at least 2021's been a record breaking year of breakups and divorces at 5 million.
Oh God. Like just because like everyone's locked inside or some shit.
Yeah, based on, well, a lot of things like could be mental health, could be isolation of COVID, just reality check on life. Like people are dying and they deserve better. So like, fuck this. I'm not going to be in this relationship. Might as well.
Like it just puts everything in perspective.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, it's like, oh shit, I could die tomorrow. I can't die with this fucking guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny. Because you were saying like before the show, like your mom's a divorce lawyer, your buddy's mom's a divorce lawyer.
Buddy's mom's, yeah.
Okay, yeah, and they've like experienced like a bump in business because of this.
Actually, 2020. So like first year,
Oh, it's the
yeah,
beginning of quarantine.
business went up like 30%, and
Wow.
then
Okay.
there was articles this year of like 5 million Canadians just like getting divorced or breakups, also starting new jobs or quitting their jobs. So that kind of makes sense.
Is your buddy's mom the divorce lawyer divorced?
No, she isn't.
Oh, well, I mean, fucking obviously, because who would ever try to divorce a divorce lawyer? Like that's just suicide. You're just like,
I mean, she's making a lot more money now, so
no, I know, but like if you marry a divorce lawyer, you got to know like shit. This isn't like a regular marriage where I can just get divorced and like I'll be fine. Like this is like all my stuff is gonna be gone if I try to divorce this person.
messed up, a little bit messed up, I guess, psychologically to have a job where people's lives are kind of ending and you kind of make profit off of
Yeah,
it.
I mean, I guess any job like in emergency services is kind of like that, where you just like see people at their worst. Cops kind of act as like an occupying force, and like don't like see themselves as part of the community. But like on the other hand, like
Yeah.
if all like just through selection bias, if all you see of a community is the worst parts of it, like why would you want to be part of that community at all? But like similarly, if you're a divorce lawyer, like why like if all you ever see is divorce, you gotta think it must make you think like, most marriages fucking suck. Why would I do this?
I mean, this could be the same thing
Yeah.
also if you run like a funeral home.
Yeah, no, true. Funeral home people are also like, like the nicest people on earth because like they have to be. Like you can't be like
Yeah.
impatient and shitty with people if you're a divorce lawyer. Or sorry, if you're a funeral home person, because like you have to like extract money from people when they're like at their worst. So I feel like there's like a certain level of tact you need as like a funeral home person. Like I couldn't be like a person who works with funerals because like that's not me. I don't think I can like handle dealing with fragile people all the
The
time.
trauma of it. Yeah.
Yeah, like I just wouldn't be helpful. Yeah, it also yeah, like you said, it would also just traumatize me. On a lighter note, I thought wouldn't it be really funny if you had like if your divorce lawyer was like the saddest divorced dad ever? There's like, all right, you guys, let's flush this out. I really gotta make all this money to pay my ex-wife's alimony. I'm just fucking like if he just clearly got like a raw deal from his own divorce, and it just makes you start to rethink. Oh shit, should we have hired this guy? This is now feeling like a bad decision. But a lot of the stats on divorce that people like bust out are kind of misleading in the sense that like people will say like, oh, like almost half of people get divorced, but apparently like I think that's like if you compare like the divorce rate versus the marriage rate, the divorce rate's about like I think it's like half
Yeah.
the marriage rate, so people presume that it's like half of all marriages end in divorce, which is like kind of true, but like only in the sense that people who get remarried and divorced multiple times, and they kind of drive up the statistic. But like first marriages more often than not work out fine. Just so everyone knows and doesn't lose their faith in humanity in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's most you're much more likely your second and third marriages are actually much more likely to fail first marriages, just because like if you've been through a divorce, like there's a greater odds that there's something wrong with you, or at the very least you like don't have any compulsions against it. It's the serial divorcers who like drive up the statistics, but like it's necessary. I remember there was like I was witness to like an awkward like around the table Thanksgiving type conversation where like an older member of my family was saying that like, oh, I don't think people should get divorced, but like she herself was on her second marriage and like was married to a guy who'd been divorced, and but like I think people just don't realize that like sometimes you just need to get divorced. Like sometimes people aren't supposed to be happy, and like your marriage is unsalvageable. I actually learned something this weekend. So have you ever heard that like marriage counselors aren't supposed to tell you to get divorced? Like do you ever see Bad Moms where like you had Wanda Sykes there and she was like, Now I'm a marriage counselor, so I'm not supposed to tell you to get divorced. But apparently that's not true. Marriage counselors will tell you to get divorced all the time.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I shouldn't say that because I feel like there's like a lot of like a lot of dudes who won't go to marriage counseling because they're like, no, they're just going to tell my wife to get divorced from. And yes, they will. Yes, they will, Tom. They will tell you to get divorced. I'm sorry to say.
I mean, if you're seeing a marriage counselor, like you're already kind of halfway there.
Maybe, but like not necessarily. It's not necessarily unsavable. If a husband says divorce like 5 times, or maybe it's 3 times, I think it's 5 times, then like that legally counts as divorce. So if you like call your wife and you're like divorce, 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 then like that is a legally binding divorce in some cultures.
Really?
Which I think is hilarious because it's like the Beetlejuice law of divorce. Like, you say Beetlejuice 3 times, he'll summon him. So if you say divorce 5 times, you would like summon
Yeah,
divorce.
can happen.
Yeah, I like the idea that like curses are like legally binding. I think there should be more like legally binding curses, like just like I curse your credit score or some shit. I don't know. Yeah. Speaking of divorced dads, there's like a whole horde of truckers just descending on Ottawa recently.
They're all divorced, huh?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, why do you think truckers are always serial killing? They're divorced. They're angry.
They're always on the road and they're lonely.
Exactly. So they chop people to bits and exchange methamphetamine for blowjobs. I'm kidding, truckers. I love you,
True.
but don't kill me.
I think that's gonna stop in the next couple of weeks.
Oh yeah, of course. Like it's the same thing with everything. Like everyone eventually just gets bored and goes home.
Right.
Yeah. The one thing I thought was funny, like not in like a oh I'm so outraged kind of way, but just in a way that was funny. Apparently, like the truckers are like protesting vaccine mandates for truckers that the government implemented, which is apparently like having some impact on supply chain.
Yep.
The funniest part was like when they went to the statue of Terry Fox and like dressed him up in like their signs and shit. But I'm just like, not that I'm super mad at them about it. It's just like, Terry Fox dedicated his life to funding medical research. I don't know if was an immunocompromised man. So I don't know that he'd be like that sympathetic to the cause of not getting vaccinated. That just seems antithetical to his life's work. It's just a very weird.
He's not
No.
happy.
Terry Fox is not happy. I didn't realize, how young Terry Fox was. Like Terry Fox was like in his was like 20 when he ran across Canada. He was only like 22 when he died. So I'm like now substantially older than that. It's just I didn't think I never thought about that before, but it kind of makes him that much more impressive that he did that at an age when most of us haven't like graduated university. So it's a pretty remarkable character in that sense. Other than the obvious remarkability of running across like half of Canada on a single leg. Like that's pretty impressive. I don't think I could run like a single marathon on 2 legs. So, that's
Let alone one. Yeah.
he's just one upping me there. But can you imagine like Terry Fox in a different country? Terry Fox only works in Canada. Like he's like, I'm gonna run across the whole 5,000 kilometer mosquito riddled bad weather length of Canada. Whereas like a Belgian Terry Fox would be like, I am going to run the entire 2 days from Brussels to Antwerp. I just feel like you wouldn't get as much funding if you ran across Belgium.
It's not as dramatic as Canada.
Yeah, exactly. So like, Terry Fox could only be, Canadian, Russian, Australian, maybe Chinese. Oh yeah, Chinese. Brazilian. You know what? There should be a Brazilian Terry Fox. Like you should run along like the whole like humid, hot, jungly coastline of Brazil. For I don't know.
Or South African.
It's South Africa's all like temperate and shit though. Like that's I don't know. South Africa seems like one of the easier countries to run across. Like, whereas Brazil is like sweaty and humid, has the Amazon and shit. Like if you ran across fucking Brazil like east west wise, that would be an achievement. I don't even think there's roads that will take you that far into the interior. At least not paved ones. All right, there we go. It's decided. We need a Brazil like to cure COVID. We need a Brazilian Terry Fox. Like, just run from like Rio de Janeiro to like Manaus on like a ventilator or some shit. Get a guy with long COVID to run through Brazil. It can't be like it's got to be like an intimidating ass country. Otherwise, it doesn't work. You can't have
You gotta one up him.
exactly. You can't have those are like there's only like 5 countries you could do it in, unless you did like multiple countries in a row. Okay, you know what? I'll say like any country in the Sahara Desert, that would be an impressive Terry Fox run. Like even if it's a small one, like Mali isn't like I guess Mali's kind of big, but like if you ran across, it's not as big as Canada, but if you ran across Mali, like all the way through like the Sahel and the Sahara, that's fucking impressive. That is like one disease cured impressive. Anyway, so yeah, so the truckers instead of wandering around Ottawa and honking should be running across Brazil if they want all this COVID business to be over.
They'll be spreading that COVID though. Then everybody will hate Canadians.
Oh yeah, maybe not. Oh yeah, no, never mind. I didn't even think of that. You probably shouldn't have like a run from city to city, spreading your germs in the middle of COVID. Yeah, I guess Terry Fox's thing only worked because cancer is by and large non-communicable. Never mind. Never mind, Terry Fox. Your shit is like you can't really transfer that to other diseases.
Yeah.
But you made it to Thunder Bay on one leg. I wouldn't even go to Thunder Bay in a car. Like I complained about driving to Thunder Bay as being too tiring. So good on you. Sorry that some trucker dudes desecrated your monument there. Apparently, truck driving is like the most common job in America. More people have the job of truck driving than like any other job. Which that's going to be people talk about automation, but if we actually ever automate trucks, like that's going to be pretty fucked up. Like that'll have like huge social consequences because like used to be like guys would get with like a certain level of
Yeah.
education would be able to work in factories, and then after that one of the only well-paying jobs that like blue collar guys could have was like driving trucks. But once that gets taken away, like what the fuck are we gonna do? It'll end up being like those fucking coal mining towns in West Virginia where the mine got shut down, and like now they're just like case studies in lawsuits to Purdue because like a tenth of the population is addicted to opiates because like Purdue just like fucking flooded their town with those. Did you see the Pharmacist on Netflix?
I did see it. It was pretty good.
Yeah, no, it was really good. For those who haven't seen it, definitely check it out. It's Tanim, you want to run them through the synopsis?
Essentially about the opioid epidemic crisis. It's been going on for decades, actually, especially if you're into sports. You usually get prescribed some kind of pain meds if you're injured and you're making $1 million, and you take these drugs and you get addicted to them, and they don't really highlight or promote or showcase how addictive they are, and people lose their lives from it. So it just highlights pharmacists that prescribe these drugs and make millions for their companies.
And it's a one heroic pharmacist's journey to stop pill mills in the U.S. So, but yeah, the thing I found most surprising, it kind of centers around this town in Louisiana where, like Tanim said, like people get injured, but like in the case of this town, like they're usually not athletes; they're just like guys who work manual labor jobs. They'll like injure their back and then get a prescription for opiates so they can keep working. Yeah, the thing that kind of blew me away was that I don't know if I'm alone here, but I thought of the opiate crisis as beginning in like 2010ish, like with all the high profile deaths of Prince and who's the actor guy who overdosed, Philip Seymour Hoffman. Just those guys who just had accidental overdoses, and like in my mind the opiate crisis of 2010s thing, but apparently it's kind of just been on a steady uptick since the early 2000s. Like Bill Clinton is still president 2000s, and it did start to like spike in like 2012 2013 kind of thing, like just on the back of synthetic opiates, or opioids like fentanyl and tramadol, which were a lot stronger. And apparently, part of that was that there was a bit of a decline in prescribed opiates like methadone and oxycontin, just because they started shutting down pill mills. So people, you know, switched over to heroin, and then the Mexican drug war meant that like a lot of people started cutting heroin with fentanyl and other synthetic opiates, which were a lot stronger, and then overdose deaths kind of shot up. Like it comes in waves. Like the oxycontin phase is like 1999 to like 2010. Then a lot of addicts get cut off, start switching to heroin, and then because they're not familiar with the drug, heroin deaths just like spike. And then the Mexican drug war disrupts the supply of heroin, and then synthetic opiate deaths surpass heroin in like 2015-ish, which, correct me if I'm wrong, 2000, I think it's 2015 2016 when we start to like lose all those celebrities to drug overdoses.
Yeah, because a lot of times, huge money business, you cut certain drugs with other ones like fentanyl. So
No, yeah, definitely. Like it's just it's sad. Like it's sad that it's just people's lack of familiarity with the strength of it. And in the show, like the pharmacist who kind of rails against pill mills, and like them giving people oxycontin, he kind of wonders at the end whether he did anything good, just because a lot of people, well, like the government shut down the pill mills, but they didn't really do anything else to help the addicts. So you just had a bunch of people switching to heroin who were unfamiliar with the drug, and just kind of started off as like too high of a dose and then died. So it was pretty sad. But the thing that struck me was like the early to late 2000s, just like the whole aughts. You remember like the drug, like the fucking anti-drug people coming to your school, and like anti-drug PSAs, and like all of it in like the aughts was meth. Like people were fucking terrified of meth in the odds. And yet, like, it wasn't what was killing everyone. It was like crooked doctors prescribing people Oxycontin. It's looking back at all like the anti-meth advertisements, it like almost seems quaint. All the shit about Breaking Bad,
yeah,
and oh, meth is the worst thing ever for you, and it's like the worst drug ever invented, and if you try it once, you're gonna like turn into like a pock-faced zombie who like turns tricks for your next hit. Or
I mean it is bad.
yeah, no, it's definitely bad. But the funny part is like they found in studies that like there was a stigma to methamphetamine, like even among drug addicts. And it was really weird because like there's like a whole class thing about meth, like because meth is cheap, it's for poor people. So like meth is dirty, but like meth is not actually worse for you than cocaine. The worst drug for you is heroin, like and opiates general. People were kind of kidding themselves with the anti-meth hysteria. Like, not that meth isn't bad for you. It's just like remember all the anti-crack shit. Like people would say like, oh, crack is like 1,000 times stronger and 1,000,000 times more addictive than cocaine. But that's just like politicians coping with the fact that like, no, my cocaine habit is fine, it's crack that's bad, even though like crack and cocaine are really just the same drug, just in different forms. Like the active ingredient in both is still cocaine. It's just, remember, everyone doing cocaine, you are actually doing crack, and you are kidding yourself. Really, like the root of all the evil of this is that there's just like there's a lot of guys in the US where they'd benefit from like a surgical fix to whatever problem they have. Like if they're a roofer, they're bending down a lot, carrying heavy loads, and their knees give out when they start to get older, and their insurance isn't going to pay $100,000 for a knee replacement surgery. They'd much rather pay for a $2 dose of OxyContin for the rest of their lives. It's sad because like it's less profitable to make people functional, like at least as the medical system works now.
Yeah, just give them a pill and they'll be good
Yeah, no, but like for how much, for how long?
for the rest of your life.
That's the thing. Like it's so short sighted because like once you're addicted to it, then how long is it until you start like upping the dosage and then you accidentally overdose because like what you're treating your pain with, you start to get, and it's not their fault. Like it's not like they're trying to take the opiates to feel good. Like it's just that with the pain that they have, like opiates lose their strength after a while, so to treat the pain you kind of just have to take more and more to feel normal.
Yeah, or
So
you
it's
build the tolerance and then you just kind of chase that high of doing more, and then that fucks you
yeah,
up.
no, exactly. Yeah, you ever hear Lemmy, the lead singer of Motorhead, talk about heroin?
No, what do you say?
Oh, so like Lemmy's done a lot of drugs in his life. Like he's done a lot of acid and speed and cocaine and a lot of other shit. Like he's done a lot of drugs in his life. But he said like I've never done heroin because it's too easy to fuck up. Like it's too easy to fuck up and overdose on it. And if you'll notice, like very few people who die from drug abuse die of anything else. Like it's almost all like heroin or prescription opiates that kills people. But he said it must be fucking fantastic because people destroy their lives over. It's liquid happiness.
Yeah.
But it's a sad irony that there's almost something poetic about that. That too much happiness could cause so much misery. I feel like Lao Tzu would have something to say about
But
that.
has he done ivermectin?
I don't think it was invented by then, but he probably should have because I'm sure like everyone like before the 1800s just had loads of parasites.
I mean, that's the rage now. It's the go-to drug.
Well, it was weird because there was like, so I'm going to like construct this whole argument just to not give Joe Rogan any credit. Because like apparently there is a study so yeah, apparently there's like a Japanese pharmaceutical company called Kowa Limited said that they did a study that showed that there's an antiviral effect of ivermectin in like a joint in joint testing with Kitasato University in Tokyo. Here's the thing. Joe Rogan has like now gone out and said like, "Oh, see, I wasn't an idiot the whole time." Because, now it's being shown that ivermectin has some antiviral properties. But I'm going to take the position that no. It is precisely because now the research is showing anti-COVID potential that it does make you an idiot to have taken it previously. Because like back then there was no real scientific basis for taking ivermectin as like a COVID cure. Like it was just like, a rumored thing among scientists that they were testing. It was not a good idea to take it. Like, so you're not vindicated in the sense that you had like no real basis to think that it would work. More importantly, like it was, ivermectin, like any drug, isn't like safe to take in large quantities. And if you're self-medicating, you're almost certainly like not going to take the correct amount appropriate for antiviral properties. So, and the study has not been released yet, the one by Koa. So we don't know how effective it is against COVID at all. As of when we're recording this, it's not advisable to take something like that when it's just like a rumor it could cure you, because that's how you end up blind from taking too much of this shit. Because like we said, like we've been talking about like the first half of the show with like opiates, is that like even if something's an effective medication or can be prescribed, it could still be dangerous. So like self-medicating is a really dumb thing to do. So, Joe Rogan, you are still an idiot for taking ivermectin for your COVID. That was still a dumb decision. And like pointing out that only that like now it's a cure, like now the research shows that it can treat COVID. Like that means back then there was no research, which means it was dumb.
I mean, but he did take it with a bunch of other drugs too. So
No, I know. It's just like he's pretending like he was some kind of genius the whole time, but it's like, dude, you did not do any research into that. Like some dude on the internet just told you, and like you did it. So like my position on it is it's still dumb. But so like he's been apparently he's like just apologized. I don't know what he specifically apologized for. I didn't read his apology, but apparently he's apologized for like apparently spreading COVID misinformation on a show that caused like for some reason all these like 1960s boomer rockers to like leave Spotify, like Joni Mitchell and Neil Young. Like it's just it's weird that it's them. Though I guess like they're old, so like they actually have to worry about COVID. So like, do you think that's it or?
some of it, I don't know if he. I guess it was good that he apologized, but I mean, I don't think he needed to. He just brought on different people with different backgrounds in the scientific community that regular media weren't interviewing. And
No,
he just got their opinions that weren't, cohesive or the popular opinion, and people took shit for it.
well, the thing I've seen like him criticized for like the most is not that he it's not like necessarily like the people he brought on who like said like, oh, don't get vaccinated, just take ivermectin, just fucking you don't need to quarantine, that sort of thing. Like apparently like that's not it. It's more like the shit he's said like on his show, like as opposed to the guest. Like he had this whole debate. He got into like a debate with Josh Zepps, who's like a little more informed on it, and like took the pro-vaccination position, which like you said, he to his credit he brought on like pro-vaccine people onto his show and like aired the show. So which is
Yeah.
big, and has since said that the debate made him look dumb, which yeah, like I think like to his credit, like he knows he's not an expert on
Yeah,
things.
and he says it a lot.
Yeah, no, and but then it kind of brings up this question, like if you have such a large audience, like do you have like any sort of responsibility, not just like bring on well informed smart people to like share their research and shit, but like do you have a responsibility to be super informed and be super researched on these subjects, like just because you have so many people who listen to you?
I mean, you can't be an expert at everything. So, I mean, one of the things he said that they're gonna like add disclaimers before podcasts, so like people know like this is just an opinion. Like do your own fucking research from other people as well to so you're not misinformed.
Which fair enough, but like how many people do that? Like I feel like and part like I think part of the problem is like a lot of Joe Rogan's audience will like do what he does, which is like not do their research, and like the extent of their opinion on something is going to be like they heard some shit somewhere, and that somewhere is going to be the Joe Rogan podcast. Like, Joe Rogan will hear shit from other people in other places, but like like that's my point. Like if he's like that and he doesn't do his research on on COVID subjects and then has shows about them, how can we expect the audience to? I don't necessarily. I don't. It's not that I expect the guy to. It's not that I expect the guy to fucking do a PhD before he hosts anyone or speaks on any subject, but like I share my dumb asshole opinions on this here very podcast. But obviously I don't think he should like be taken off air or like
Yeah.
anything like that. I do think like if you reach a large audience, you should think about what you say at the like you have a responsibility to, like, at the very least, like, think like, what could be the impact of what I say. And I get that that's like a hard thing to do, because, like, you're not thinking like, when we're doing this, we're not thinking like, oh, we're talking to like a huge wide audience. Like, we're thinking like, this is just a conversation, and you don't really have conversations in terms of like what you have the responsibility to say. I get why he is the way he is, and why he, like, wouldn't, necessarily think too hard about what he says on the show. But, like, I think, he should be cautious too, and he has said he will, but it's something to keep in mind. Like, if you're not going to do your research, your audience isn't going to.
The disclaimer thing is good. I think just most people should also, that listen to him, should get other opinions.
No, definitely. Like, and part of it is like where I have like having certain people on the program, like, let's say, controversial opinions, is like, well, I mean, it's a tricky one, because you don't if you bring on people with like fringe opinions about a certain subject and present it as though, like, there are two sides of, like, there are two sides to this argument. It kind of gives like a false impression of legitimacy to, like, one side of the argument. Yeah, it gives a fault. If you weigh like two opinions on a subject equally, it implies like the two opinions are equally valid, which, is the case in a lot of cases. Like what religion is correct, like, that's something you'd probably have to have, like, you'd want a lot of diverse opinions on. But when it's like, are vaccines good or are vaccines bad, or is evolution real, or shit like that, where like it's not actually like equally valid opinions, like, in terms of their factuality. Factuality isn't. It's not like equally valid opinions in terms of their scientific merit. Like, kind of giving equal airtime can kind of give the false impression that, like, they're both equally valid. I don't want to restrict anyone and like what they can do and like whose opinion they can air, but it's like, I wouldn't want to I wouldn't want to give people the impression that, like, something that's clearly wrong is like just as good as this, like, well researched scientific fact kind of thing.
Yeah, but you don't really know which one is right until you actually dive into it.
No, yeah, and like that's the problem. Like I'm thinking of like two very like specific examples, and I'm not saying like you can't debate these things, like, but I think, like, there, like, I'm thinking of this entirely in terms of like, not like legality, but just like the ethics of it all. If I know something to have a scientific basis, like, I think I feel a responsibility that I shouldn't give equal weight to something that does not, especially with regards to, like, if I, like, having an anti-vaxxer scientist and like a pro-vax scientist like on a show kind of falsely implies that, like, their views are like equally scientifically based, which like they are. Like you said, it's then where do you draw the line? Because sometimes science isn't actually settled. Like, there's like in physics, there's like huge debates over, like, string theory versus I don't know, other theories of like the nature of existence. And because it's all hypotheses, it's not actually settled. So as of now, like, yes, all opinions on it are kind of equally valid. It's a very difficult line to draw, like, over what is scientifically valid and what isn't. Like, I know it when I see it, but I couldn't exactly give you like a perfect criteria. So yeah, Joe Rogan was still dumb to take the ivermectin.
But he survived.
But he did survive. See, that's part of the problem with COVID, is like, there's a whole survivorship bias. So like, dudes will say like, "Oh, COVID's not that bad. I survived." And it's like, "Okay, but if you didn't survive, you wouldn't be here to fucking
Talk about it.
talk about it, that, and brag that you did survive." And it's like, it's deadly. Like, killing 1% of the population is deadly. It's not quite so deadly that like such huge numbers of people will die that it'll make it immediately obvious to people that it's dangerous. Like just in the sense that if you have a 1% chance of dying of something, then 99% of people are going to make it out and be like, "Oh, it wasn't so bad the whole time." And I think it's going to gives like a false impression of how dangerous something is. Cuz like, our monkey brains aren't very good at math. A disease that kills, only 1% of its victims might sound not that bad, but like only 2% ish of people die every year. So if you add a whole extra percent, that's essentially like increasing the death rate by 50%. So that's actually quite substantial. But it's not like the plague where, it kills like half of everyone. I assume back in the Middle Ages, there weren't people saying like, "Oh, I got the plague and survived and it wasn't that bad." All this plague business. It's all big alchemy.
It's all a hoax. All
Yeah, it's
5G
all the fucking
microchips.
5G that will be invented in 1,000 years that's causing the plague. Man, I feel like it would be way better to be a raving lunatic in the olden days rather than these days. Because if you were like super schizophrenic and like had visions and shit and heard voices in your head in a hunter gatherer society, I feel like people would just be like, "Oh man, this guy probably is talking to spirits and shit." Like he will be our new shaman. Whereas like now it's like, here's your medication, stop being a shaman. Put a lot of good schizophrenics out of work. I always wondered if like paranoid people are always like, "Oh, the CIA is
Yeah.
watching me." I always just imagine like a caveman who had that same paranoia and was just like, "Oh, the CIA is watching us." It's like, "Grug, what the hell are you talking about? What's the CIA?" It's like, "Oh, you'll find out. You'll find out." Yes, and Grog was right. Grog warned all of us, and we didn't listen.
Grog. Go Grog.
Oh yeah, I also wanted to talk about. I'd like to announce to the audience that the subreddit "To Balkan for You" has been banned. So our source of Balkan racism is gone.
Damn it.
Yeah, you ever go on "To Balkan for You"?
I have not.
It's great. It's just like constant white on white racism. Like they'll be like, "Oh, fucking Westerners with their 23andMe's are just like, oh wow, I'm 1/16 Irish. Top of the morning to you." Whereas like Balkan people, it's like, I'm using 23andMe so I can kill myself if I have like even 1% of like neighboring countries' genes. It's just shit like that. It's a little more it's a little more hardcore, but the funny thing I learned about it all is like, the Balkans are very much on the level of racism where like where we were like 100 years ago, where it's like anti other kinds of white people racism. Fuck you for being Albanian or Slovenian or Serbian or
Yeah.
whatever. So I really thought that was going to mean they would be more racist generally. But sorry, there was a new study by Harvard University about people's racial biases against black people across Europe, and it turns out Serbia is like the least racist country towards black people in all of Europe, which is amazing. Like their whole attitude on race is that like, "Oh, well, he's black, but at least he's not Croatian." Just like it's so alien to me. Or it's so alien to like North American racism where like, it evolved from like, people hating on the Irish and Italians to just everyone deciding those guys were white and like everyone just being racist to black people. Whereas like, Serbs have this like transcendent racism where they're only racist towards other kinds of white people. It's amazing. It's like it's truly an achievement.
We need more Serbian friends.
Exactly. So see, that's the sad part. Like there's no more Balkan memes. So we're shit out of luck. So we can't be exposed to this weird alien world of foreign racism. Speaking of which, like the most racist country towards black people is the Czech Republic. As it turns out, Portugal and Italy are like substantially more racist than like the rest of Western Europe, which I thought was kind of weird. just because like Portugal like founded Brazil and Cape Verde, which are like, largely mixed black and white countries. Not that colonization or enslaving people makes you less racist. It really doesn't, but like, I don't know, it's weird for them to like have such a pronounced anti-black bias given their history, or maybe because of their history, who knows. It was just weird like that. It's so much worse than like France or Britain or Germany. So yeah, good for you, Serbia. You're the only you're the highest. Oh, and Slovenia came in second place. So good for you. Heard it here first. Serbia is the least racist country in Europe, at least in terms of black or white on black racism. But they've channeled all their energy into like white on white racism. So Jesus Christ, what a shit show. Oh, the Balkans. Like, but it's funny how they slip through the cracks because, like, I feel like Reddit being an American company is probably their censors are probably more in tune with like American racism, where it's a little more about like black white or white on black racism. Yeah, it's just it's funny because like they're making like on this subreddit they're making memes about like hating each other, but like these guys were like actually killing each other like 25 years ago. So it's just kind of weird and trippy and kind of dystopian that they're all just on Reddit now making memes against each other. I mean, I prefer this to like open warfare, but
Yeah.
still, it's a strange one. Anyway, speaking of race wars, you wanted to talk about Microsoft buying Activision?
I mean, it's not really big race war. Just
It's in fact, it's not a race war at all.
Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard, and then recently Sony bought Bungie. That was a company that used to work at Activision and Microsoft. So
So wait, what does Bungie make?
they made
Like,
Halo and like Destiny.
wait, hold on. Wait. Oh yeah, they did. Wait, hold on. So you're telling me like now wait, does Microsoft own Halo independently, or is that like a Bungie property that now like Sony is gonna own?
Yes.
Like the last one?
So it's kind of like, let me date your ex girlfriend just for the fun of it.
So wait, Halo is now going to be like a PlayStation exclusive or some shit?
Yeah.
What the fuck? And the whole world is like turning upside down, and it's making me glad that I switched to the far superior PC.
Yeah, it's kind of like a race war, just kind of like what Disney did with every big company, just buying up everything so that they can have a monopoly of the best games and platforms.
Ah, okay. Man, this is all fucking mixed up. So what you're saying is like at some point in the future, Call of Duty is going to become an Xbox exclusive or some shit.
Yeah, it will be.
Shit. Well, I mean, I guess that's not so bad. I haven't really played a fucking Call of Duty game in a long ass time because they just they went a little crazy. I gotta say.
Yeah, I think releasing a game every year just kind of takes the appeal about it away.
No, Def. Oh yeah, like I just like the fucking Assassin's Creed franchise. After a certain point, it's just like I can't keep up. I'm too old. I don't have time to play all these video games. So I'm
Yeah,
not going to pay attention. So yeah, that's so and then you just like fall out of it and then you come back and find out like, oh shit, everything's in like ancient Greece and the Norse Viking period. Shit's all fucked up. So I can't even get back into it now.
yeah,
Yeah. So is your theory that this is just going to turn into like
race war.
that this is just going to turn into like Disney, where like one company owns everything?
Pretty much that's what they're trying to do.
Ah, and it's like it's the console, it's like this weird horrible vertical integration thing, isn't it? Because it's like now it's like the guys who make the systems buying up all the game studios.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, it's gonna do what they're doing now, where it's like whatever company has that developer will just release their games earlier than the competing competitors. So, like, you'll have an incentive to buy their console.
Ah, okay, yeah, that. Do you think this is going to have like a negative impact on game quality overall?
No, I mean, they're trying to integrate them all together, especially with PC. So I mean, most console players jumped over to PC because those games are available there and faster, better quality and graphics. That it's not going to be an issue because most of the games now are on PC.
Yes, because PC is the best.
But yeah, I mean, you never know. They're gonna release some new original IPs, and that'll be like specific to that company, whether it's Sony or Xbox.
I mean, yeah, but no, I refuse to accept that my fucking PC will be anything but greatly superior to every other
Right. I
system.
mean, but then they realize that they need to make their games if they want profits to make it available for everyone.
Yeah, that's fair. But on the other hand, like, okay, so wait, do game companies like so Microsoft and Sony, do you think they'll make more money selling systems or selling games?
Definitely selling games.
Okay. Okay, so that makes sense. So that's why they have incentive to share the game. So they'll they'll license it to like Sony will license Halo to Microsoft to let them have it on the Xbox, and they'll make more money that way than like having Halo as an exclusive and having people buy the PlayStation kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's really not that big of a jump of console from console. Like, what's better? Because they pretty much do the same shit.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough. I I gave up on the console wars. I mean, like mostly because like now that I have my Steam library, I don't have to like worry about losing my game forever if it goes fucking like if the system just like goes away. So I mean, that's good. Yeah. No, it's this all just makes me glad that
You're out of the game.
I'm out of the game, man. I don't need to be part of this bullshit anymore. All good. I'm a PC refugee. Do we want to talk about the stupid green M&M?
No, we really don't have to.
Yeah, no. So Tucker Carlson was mad that green M&M was less sexy
So they
now.
put sneakers on it.
Yeah, she's got fucking sneakers. Look, everyone, I'm just gonna say that M&Ms are exactly as fuckable as they've always been, and that is to say, not really.
We have no judgment. You can like the
I do.
pudgy yellow one or the slender red brown one.
No, the objective favorite Eminem is the yellow one because he's played by J.K. Simmons.
And he's goofy and lovable.
Exactly, but more importantly, he's Spider-Man's boss, and that's pretty cool.
Also, no one talks about the orange M&M. Gets left out because he's got peanut butter in him.
Wait, there's an orange Eminem?
Yeah,
What's his deal? Is he like a Is he one of the pretzel M&Ms, or which one is he?
I think so. Yeah, he's got like the peanut
Oh,
butter
okay.
one in him.
I guess aren't peanut butter M&Ms just like fucking Reese's Pieces or some bullshit?
Yeah, they are, but in the M&M brand.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. I mean, look, I don't think this is going to impact
Sales.
my love of M&Ms at all. They still have those good artificial colors, which is all I care about. Like you just need the artificial colors.
And they taste
Yes,
good.
and they taste good. I don't know. It may be marketing genius, if only because it's pretty stupid. Like all they did was change the shoes of the M&M. Now we're talking about M&Ms. Like M&Ms are occupying way more of my brain capacity than they normally do.
But don't buy them.
Don't buy M&Ms. Oh yeah, yes. Boycott M&Ms.
You want genders.
Yes, M&Ms. Make M&Ms have gender again. Yes, more genders for M&Ms.
What's the world coming to?
Yeah, which I mean, it's kind of a funny thing to think about. Just like, oh yes, this M&M is a man. Like, yeah, it's just kind of silly. I think it's funny.
Yeah, it's gonna do it for us. You can catch us on YouTube, all social media platforms, podcast underscore above on Twitter, and the above average podcast everywhere else.
All right, see ya.